Now, the bandwagon, as they say, was getting heavy. Everyone started to jump on the bandwagon again.
Portland is not in a position to try to come back, and he should just kind of leave that alone.
Stop being satisfied with mediocre performances.
I don't like it. Plain and simple, I really don't like it. An all-star game just shows how much they just kind of continue to placate the players and their lackadaisical efforts on the court.
You really sparked my interest, and I'm sure that of many others. Alister, Albert, thank you very much.
Hello and welcome to a new episode of Baseline to Baseline with Alister and Orane. Of course, I am Alister Albert and I have our co-host here, Orane Buchanan, and we have a special guest, the president of the Saint Lucia Basketball Federation, Glen Guiste, here with us, and we're going to talk hoops from Saint Lucia. We're talking regional hoops today. Of course, we do the NBA thing as much as we do, but we always try to infuse Caribbean basketball as much as we can to understand what the state of the game is in the islands throughout the region. So, Glen, or Kala, as we know you in Saint Lucia, welcome to the show. Thank you for giving me the time here today, or giving us the time here today, and really looking forward to having a good little conversation with you about what's going on in Saint Lucia for basketball at the moment.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Thank you for allowing me on your popular Baseline to Baseline podcast. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Yeah. Excellent, man. Awesome. So we'll just jump into the questions straight away, basically. Of course, I'm from Saint Lucia. Everyone knows this now. Orane is from Jamaica. So the Jamaican gonna get a little bit of learning of what we do in Saint Lucia, basically, for now. A couple of episodes back, I had, of course, the head coach of Jamaica basketball, Rick Turner, on, and I only thought it right to kind of balance it out with a Saint Lucian representative. And what better to do than to get the head man of Saint Lucia basketball, basically. So jumping straight into it, can you give us a little bit of a flavor of what the game is like in Saint Lucia right now? What's the state of Saint Lucia basketball? What's the men's team doing? What's 3x3? Or you could start where you think it's most appropriate. State of the union, state of the game right now in Saint Lucia.
It's growing nicely. I mean, we've been participating in America tournament for the past 6 years. We haven't had much opportunity to participate in 5v5 CBC. Hasn't had much happening.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly the bigger teams in CBC would qualify for the America tournaments.
Right.
But we are looking to make a run for CBC this year in July, and also before that get the Windward Islands basketball tournament going.
Okay.
But we have lots happening with 3x3. Our U23 program is growing nicely. We're just awaiting word from CBC of FIBA Americas for the CAC games.
Okay.
We should be participating in that in July in the Dominican Republic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but all in all, the game is on the up and up. I kind of envy Jamaica in that regard, where they have lots happening, and I guess it's the resources available to them too. So kudos.
Mm-hmm.
We're looking to connect with a partner like Jamaica has to put our basketball on the next level.
That's it. And we'll come to the partnership opportunities and everything, because that is really one of the lifebloods of any of these, grassroots efforts and federations that are out there throughout the Caribbean. When you have these sports clubs and teams, you need the commercial partnerships to kind of help that out. So we're going to come to that in a little bit. You mentioned the 3x3 team. I think this is probably the one that's the most popular. This is the one I seem to get the most traction on, and a lot of the social media views from. You have Troy Louiseau and Sean Chamois and these guys, really kind of putting Saint Lucia on the map. I think there was a couple of years ago they placed really well in one of the tournaments. I can't remember where it was, but yeah, could you tell us a little more about the 3x3 program and what's happening there, and how do you think that is translating into what's actually being played on island across schools and everything? Is that kind of what people are tending to play more often now, 3x3, or is still the 5x5 format still more popular across schools and everywhere else?
Yeah, well, it's for us. It's striking the balance. FIBA has a mandate of popularizing free by free in our region, and for good reason too. Economically, the figure, it's both economically and I would say realistically, we gives us small territories the best opportunity at dancing on the world stage, basically.
True.
Like you just mentioned, the boys Troy and Shamo and those guys did pretty well in the US, in Florida, a few years ago, beating Argentina. And every FIBA Congress that I go to, the GS makes it his duty to mention that, to pound home the message that the 3x3 gives us an opportunity to really make a mark on the world stage. The game is 3x3 is being played. We about to put a 3x3 strategy together. However, we cannot lose sight of the development of the game. And because of the dynamics of 3x3 and the quick pace of 3x3, fundamentals are very important. So at the grassroots level, and even FIBA too, as seen it fit, they no longer host U18 3x3 tournaments. It's U23 and above.
Right.
So you do not want to compromise the development of the game. So at the younger ages, we do concentrate on 5v5 a lot. The schools basketball we do, although again, as part of the process, we do encourage in the development process. So it's striking the balance. That's what it is now. Finding that balance between development and actually competing at the 3x3, the world stage at 3x3.
Awesome. Yeah, you're right about that. And I think when I heard Saint Lucia had a 3x3 team, and I think it was that same year that the guys went in and did really well, beating Argentina and everything, I was really surprised about, us kind of getting into that format. But I thought, yeah, it's another avenue for us to get even more talents out there, because maybe these guys, I'm not too sure. You could correct me on that. Are Troy and Shama and the rest of the guys on 3x3 team, are they on the men's national 5x5 team as well? Or is that they're specializing in 3x3?
No, well, we because of our demographics, it's difficult to separate them from the 5v5.
Yeah.
So yeah, they are on both aspects of the game.
Okay.
Really. But like I said, at the senior level, for the past 4-5 years, we have not participated in a 5v5 regional tournament since 2018.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, yes. So we're hoping that we open to revive Winwoods during the summer and also participate in CBC, hopefully in Guyana in July.
Awesome. Okay. Awesome. Yeah. And I think, the point I was trying to make is, so these guys can't really separate it. Like you say, the pipeline and just the resources available. Yeah. You kind of have to get these guys to play both. And if they're good enough, why not? Other countries have that liberty of getting the guys to separate and specialize in those specific formats. But it gives countries like ours more opportunities to field more players, and that's a really good opportunity for us to kind of get out there. So yeah, thanks for kind of giving us that explanation. Orane, I'll pass on to you. Next question, basically.
President, pleasure to have you on our podcast. I hope you're doing fine.
Thank you.
I'll take this direction. It's a population of about 180,000. Not large. But when it comes to sports, St. Lucia have their own stars. I'll start there. Talk about Leverance Spencer, Darren Sam, Johnson Charles, and Julian Alfred, what kind of with the first Olympic champion. What do you think needs to be done in St. Lucia when it comes to the game of basketball so that youngsters coming up now can have their own stars to look at in the sport of basketball?
The age-old problem of infrastructure, one, we need to invest a little bit in the infrastructure, and presently that's one of the um, drives that we on as a federation to work alongside the government and also entities to get state-of-the-art um, basketball infrastructure, maybe if not one, two, or three around the island. Also, I mean, there's a lot of talent. There's no doubt. There's talent, and harnessing that talent and is what we need to do. In terms of looking people to look forward up to, really, we have a one or two out there that already can be the role models. Although I guess in the well, female basketball, we have one of the top rebounders in the American conference in college basketball. And she all came from a netball background. She did not come from a basketball background. So again, the facilities and the resources available. But she's doing very well for herself. We have T-Man who is doing his thing as well, of his parents at Saint Lucia, and they also connected to Saint Lucia basketball and looking to assist how they can. So yeah, we have one or two people to look up to. It's just a matter now of getting the formula right.
And just to touch back on something you said earlier, when we start, you made mention of something about Jamaica and want to copy that model. But I'll tell you this: Jamaica basketball has grown leaps and bounds, President. Doing good now in FIBA, but at the initial stage, it wasn't like that. And I know that the start is the hardest part to get. You know, when you think about St. Lucia, you guys have talents there, because Chris Boucher was doing my research, St. Lucia knows, Terance Man, St. Lucia knows. But to get guys of that caliber to commit to St. Lucia basketball would probably be the hardest thing to do, or get guys playing elsewhere in Europe would be the hardest thing to commit. So it always takes a big win on the FIBA stage, CBC stage, some kind of big win, and then people say, St. Lucia has something going on. So I think that is the biggest area of development that you probably have to look at. So how can you just harness the talents there, get them on the global stage, and probably the eyes will come after you get them on that stage. Agree or disagree?
Kind of disagree in that regard, because I remember the state of Jamaica basketball. To be honest, basketball was probably the third or fourth sport in the pecking order in Jamaica. In the Jamaican culture, you would have the cricket, the reggae boys, and then not forgetting the athletics. So, but I think again it's the wheel of it took on Powell, for example, changed, I think, in my opinion, changed the trajectory of Jamaica basketball with his personal looking of funds, or however you want to put it, into Jamaica basketball, his personal input into Jamaica basketball. So kudos to Paulton, the president, for making these connections, and I think it just takes maybe one T-Man or Boucher, like you rightly said, to at least show some interest, show some investment, get the others out there in the diaspora to buy in, because that's one of the goals, again, that in our strategic plans we were looking to accomplish, is to get buy-in from the diaspora. So we're connecting with our different consulates there and there to see how best we could connect with our basketballers out there to entice them to represent St. Lucia. Yes, we have to. It goes both ways. It goes both ways. We have to be doing our part, and we are playing our part in the development process. We are strongly playing our part, but I think it would be helped even more by somebody you're saying, like say a T-Man or Boucher, saying, yes, let's see how we could use our platform to big up St. Lucia basketball, just like Powell did for Jamaica.
Exactly.
And I'll squeeze one more before I swing the ball back to Alister. What's the state of your youth basketball program in St. Lucia? Because back home here, our KFC grassroots, very strong. Guys like Samada, Samuel, Skimani, Friend, those guys that have gone on to represent the country, and some other has gone on to very good things on the international scene as well. Some of the Samuels, the state of the youth basketball program. What you can tell us about that and how strong it is?
Yeah. Well, I am right in the heart of it. I also run an academy, East Coast Academy, so I could tell you it is very strong and it is growing. And case in point, right now in the National League, more of those youngsters are getting integrated into our National League. So that is a good sign for the development of the game on the island. As anything else, the development process needs tournaments, and not just locally but regionally, and that's just a little bit of a challenge. So we just during the week we had talks with the Guadeloupean Federation to see how we could also network to get our kids to compete against Guadeloupe, which is a boat ride away, Martinique as well, Dominica. We seeking competition for them. So the development process is there. It's there, like you said, a small population. So again, we have to share the athletes of different sports. But the process is there. It's very solid at the moment. And we're just looking now at avenues for our young people to compete a bit more, get more competition. And that's where we are.
That's awesome conversation that you have there, and I think you asked some really important questions there, Orane. And I think I want to reflect back, not that I want to kind of keep on referencing that, but it's just because it's a conversation that I had with Coach Rick Turner for Jamaica a couple of weeks ago. One of the things he said is really important, and I think it links very well to what you're saying, Carla, in terms of having those guys like Terance, Mann, Chris Boucher, and the guys who have kind of made a name for themselves professionally to come back and help represent. Because what he said to me was that it's really important to see the national level and the senior teams do really well. That then filters down through to everyone else. Because once you build that excitement and you have guys like, representing the country who are names come in, then you have everyone kind of looking up and like, oh, wow, we have an NBA player with our team and all that sort of stuff. And we see guys every now and then coming over every summer, hosting little camps here and there, trying to see if they could, they could do their little bits to help, support the federation and support grassroots basketball. But we need that consistently. We need that more, because once the kids see that, then there's something to look forward to. And that's what I could kind of hope that will continue to happen. And with that, I kind of break off from the questions in terms of asking, like, we have, during the off season, it's really popular to see who comes over to Saint Lucia and jumps in at the Boucher grounds and, and kind of does their little training whilst they're here. We had Bam Adebayo. I know Kyrie Irving visited Saint Lucia, and, it was a big thing, there. What is that like as well? Getting those guys to come in and maybe having talks with youngsters. Have you been able to do much of that, or do they come in for private stuff, or do they engage with what you're trying to do as well?
Yeah, well, they mainly come in for private stuff. Couple of the hotels, yeah. But we try to piggyback on their visits. For example, at BAM, we had a good bunch of kids meet up with BAM at his hotel.
Right.
They organized a nice little conference for us. And yeah, you could see the excitement on the kids' faces when he told them of his story. Yes, he told them of his story, and he vowed to assist Saint Lucia basketball as much as he can. And when he can. And I mean, just again, one of the causes of excitement too is seeing what I don't know if you've seen online where Kyrie Irving is scrimmaging for Saint Lucia basketball shoot.
Yep, I used that on the post. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, with situations like this, I think will give some visibility to our game here and what we're trying to accomplish. And we have gotten a few, like I said, leads. The Mann Foundation, I'm in constant communication with them. We are working on a few projects now, trying to get, like I said, facilities. Combine our resources to get some facilities down here. We're doing the back and forth now. So yeah, we do have conversations, but the commitment, the full-blown commitment, we are waiting. We are waiting that. And it's going to come. I think it's going to come based on the work that we've been putting in and the conversations that we've been having. I am very optimistic that it's going to come sooner than later.
Awesome, awesome. And I've tried my best to put my feelers out to try to get in touch with the guys from Terance Mann's Foundation. Chris Boucher, I've kind of put some feelers out as well. I want to have them on to have these kind of conversations to see if I could get them to, like, come on, let's do some more for Saint Lucia sort of thing. So if you have any sort of connections to them, just tell them, you've been on baseline to baseline, and this guy wants to try to help Saint Lucia kind of build something more consistent and strong. So when you have these conversations, do mention that we're trying to do that in all
Definitely.
aspects, where conversationally and through the media. We want to kind of get that excitement building for Saint Lucia for sure. What I'm going to move on to the next question. I know we have some local tournaments going on. I think there's a KFC Invitational going on at the moment. It's really good to see the corporate entities coming in to sponsor such large tournaments like that. Could you tell us a little more about that? How did that start out, and what's the excitement level about it at the moment?
Yeah, well, KFC has been our partners for about like 12, 13 years now.
Wow.
I'm sponsoring the National League, and they've been pretty consistent with it. But the preseason has only been. It started 3 years ago when I came in as the president, trying to stamp my philosophy or my mindset on the game, my vision for the game, trying to stamp my vision. And one of the things that I like I mentioned earlier, is having our players compete against more regional or international counterparts as possible. And the preseason is one of those tournaments. It's so far only Dominica or 767. I think the 767 Warlords or something like that they participated in all 3 years so far.
Right.
And next year promises to have 3 or 4 more regional teams. And it's a prelude to the National League, which actually kicked off yesterday with 2 big games, and so it's on every year. KFC is, I can't say anything wrong about KFC or bad about KFC. They have been there with us through and through, and they continue to partner with us. I heard your co-host mention that they also doing some work in Jamaica. That is something we don't do much grassroots work with them, but that's something I will have to. That's a discussion that we can have as well to see how we could get grassroots going with KFC. But yeah, they've been a partner with us through and through, and the National League is growing. We're getting more of the communities getting involved, reintegrating into basketball. That's part of the growth cycle as well. What's happening in terms of the growth of basketball? More of the communities coming in. So we have 7 teams now, and next year we should have at least 11.
Big jump.
In National League former who they couldn't have made the cut this year, but definitely they're preparing for next year.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Alister touched on local president. The Net Blazers Basketball Club recently hosted a clinic. Let me get the name right. It's Baseline Basketball Hoops for Health Festival. How successful was that staging, if you have information about that, and how important it is for, say, Mia George? I mean, she's one of the biggest faces of female basketball for St. Lucia. How important is it to tie in basketball with anything local, like outside of sport, so that the game can grow and get more eyes on it?
Yeah, man, kudos to Maya and her organization, Net Blazers. And we as the federation, we encourage our affiliates to put on and take on initiatives like this. And Maya is she's the thing only from Ghana. She's actually based in Ghana now, working at the Ghana Basketball Federation.
Wow.
But her club has been run here. And they run quite a few programs. And what it is FIBA has a lot of their philanthropic and the Basketball for Good. They host a lot of programs, and we encourage our affiliates to try to take advantage of those programs. And Maya and her organization have done that with great success. Yesterday they hosted that Beyond the Baseline program, where they had community participation, where there were nurses and doctors and doing the blood pressure readings, and kid participation in the community and grassroots engagement and whatnot. So it's their community outreach program, which again benefits the growth of the sport too. So they're doing their part to grow the sport on the island. And I must say a big thank you and kudos to the Net Blazers for doing their part to help develop the sport on the island. So Maya is doing a pretty good job of that, she and her team. Now essentially they started as an all-female program, but they've since evolved into grassroots and community outreach, which again is very encouraging. And we try to get most of our clubs, if not all our clubs, to emulate a bit of this and develop the game in their community.
Let me add this one. A lot of my formative years, President, was spent in Dominica, so I know a lot about small island and how, I call it secondary sport, can face challenges and struggles growing. In terms of funding, I know you touched on it earlier, but in terms of funding and assistance from the government, where is this? Talk to me about the state of that when it comes to basketball.
It's the support can be better. I mean, as anything else. But we are motivated by the youngsters who count on us to get the game going. Like I said, when I came in as the president, our role here is to make the environment conducive for to thrive and grow. And the certain policies you met in place, but then you try to change it over the years. So, for example, when we came in, the subvention for us as a federation was only like $5,000 EC for the year to do two. So it has in 2 years it has gone up to 10,000 EC, which is not much, but it shows some intent on the government's part to increase it. So we are working along with them to show Slate that hey, this is what we are accomplishing. Look at what we're doing. So we need more support here and there. So this is what we're working on now. So it's not enough. Let me just put it that way. It's not enough, but it's a dynamic, ongoing, growing relationship, and hopeful that in the coming budget cycle that we will get an increase in subvention from the government. But in terms of facilities, it's conversations that we have regularly to I know all facilities cannot be refurbished or fixed really at one time, but we reach out to get them to get the critical ones up and going. And if we have a very good rapport. We have a very solid rapport with the Ministry of Sports.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome to hear. And what we're going to do here is wrap up this segment and then come back to a couple more questions after this. But yeah, it was a really good talk in terms of, just talking about overall support. People like me, like Maya, like you mentioned, who's trying to do her best at the grassroots level, wanting that consistency from our stars and the people who are out there, and, just taking up that mantle for, Saint Lucia basketball to try to kind of get it out there a lot more. So what we're going to do, we're going to end at this segment here right now. Stay tuned with us. We're going to have more from Glen, Guiste, the president of the Saint Lucia Basketball Federation, talking to us a little bit more about Saint Lucia basketball, some specific names that I want to bring up and hear his thoughts on that and what we could do in terms of sponsorship and everything moving forward. So stay tuned with us. Baseline to Baseline with Alister and Orane, coming right back up with segment 2. All right, and welcome back to segment 2 of Baseline to Baseline with Alister and Orane. We are in episode 16, where we have, of course, our special guest, Glen Guiste, with us. This is the president of Saint Lucia Basketball Federation, who's been having a really lovely chat with us about, the state of basketball in Saint Lucia at the moment, the grassroots efforts that are taking place, KFC being such a, vital piece, piece, a pun intended, I suppose, piece of, a commercial support for Saint Lucia basketball, and also it seems like through the region, because they're doing some really good work in Jamaica as well. And just talking about what the talent pipeline and everything that we could expect and look forward to in Saint Lucia moving forward. So Glenn, I want to jump something that is really close to my heart, all right, is intersecondary school basketball. I played for St. Mary's College for 3 years, the last 3 years from Form 3 to Form 5. That was the formative years for me for my love of basketball. And I know right now, I graduated in 2002, so that's a long time back. What you want to say, Orane?
I have to cut you right now. What were your stats?
Don't ask me my stats. We're not talking about that.
How were you?
I was a bench warmer. Okay, I'll tell you this. I played basketball, but I was a very timid fella. I used to defer a lot to the fellas who were good. I play about 10 minutes a game, maybe about 2 assists a game. I didn't have many points. I'll tell you that straight. I was not much of a player that was great at secondary school. When I moved on to university, I think I came into my own a little more because I think the experience of secondary school basketball and being as timid as I was, I realized I couldn't be like that anymore. So when I started, I was the president of the basketball club at the university, and then I played semi-pro over here. And then, my points bumped up a little more, into the double figure range and everything. And I started to assert myself more. So my leadership skills grew, and so did my game at the end of it. But St. Mary's College, coming back to that same point, was where my love for basketball grew, So I think
mine too.
Things I wanted to understand is the Orane threw me off there, that question, Orane trying to embarrass me there, man. But no, it's a good question. It's a good question. My boys from SMC will be like, boy, Alister, that man wasn't playing. That man was just a bench warmer. And it's true. I didn't play that much in secondary school, but it is what it is. But yeah, coming to the question is, I think now as the kids now, there's a lot more competition for their attention. We have the technological challenges, social media. Some of them want to be soca artists and all that sort of thing, which is all good. Because you need to have a good range of experiences and things to continue to grow as human beings. But what do you think it is what's happening at the secondary school level now? Is the participation still? I know it kind of links well to the conversation that we had before, but what do we see at the secondary school levels? Are you guys instrumental in pushing, the structure there, or is it just up to the schools? Who are the schools that are doing really good? Is SMC still on top? What can you say from the secondary school level for to just let viewers know?
Yeah, so again, like I said, the sport is growing nicely, and we getting increased participation. So now you get more schools. And let me give you a little backstory. I'm also alumni. I'm
SMC.
85 to 90.
Nice.
Yeah, also represented SMC. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Let me just give you a little backdrop. When I played basketball, but then I went into soccer. I was the national U15 coach for a while. Okay. And then I decided, you know what, basketball needed the attention because soccer had all this infrastructure and whatnot. That's when I went back into basketball and I started my program. And when I started my program, after I started my program, grassroots development program, East Coast Academy, you can look them up online. We started developing kids. And also, we saw the need for another age group tournament because if you remember correctly, schools basketball was the only age group tournament we had.
For a bit.
Growing up, there was no. Yeah, there was no, and it was until 5 years ago when we started, and then we started our summer tournament, which the club named after one of our former national players, Loloy, Aloysius Daniel Loloy.
Yes.
Yeah. So then now we saw the need for that. And from then, we have seen an influx of development happening in basketball. So the school, for example, St. Mary's College now could field at least 2 or 3 teams at the U16 and at probably the senior level. Yeah, because because the increase of participation. Then you have the George Charles schools and the Castries Comprehensive School, entry post-secondary. Leon Hess, you have most of Patricia James, formerly Boucher. So we have a lot of more schools now participating. Soufrière has been holding their own over the years in all sports really, but Soufrière, especially basketball, Soufrière League champions for the past 2 years, and they just have a pipeline of kids coming through the system, you know. But what it is really is, again, more tournaments to look forward to, more things to look forward to, more avenues to look forward to, and also now we looking to infiltrate the school PE system, because as you know, again, growing up in Saint Lucia, cricket, football, you know, those are soccer, those are the sports that the PE teachers and track, the PE teachers would have given the priority in the day-to-day. Basketball was by the wayside, you know, an afterthought. So now we're just trying to get an MOU with the Ministry of Education. So in July, we should have a coaching clinic for teachers, for PE teachers. So we could see how that could increase basketball participation, even in the primary schools too. And that's where we're looking to infiltrate now. The secondary school age is very solid now. That age group is very solid, although from a sports development standpoint, you would say, okay, that is kind of a late start. But like you said, you started in Form 3. I started in Form 3 as well.
Right.
Yeah, I played for SMC from Form 3 to Form 5.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, and that is, from a sports development standpoint, that is a late start, really. You know, so we look at now to infiltrate the secondary schools, and Maya, for her part, has been doing a phenomenal job, because they too have a grassroots program in about 3 or 4 secondary schools to the north of the island. So that in itself helps with the development of the sport. So the secondary school basketball is growing. And I made a point earlier that through the development process, we see a lot more of those kids getting integrated into the National League. So from the 5-year period that we've started that development process, that development first, most of those kids came from that window, and now they're getting slowly integrated into the National League. Right. So you're seeing more of them now popping up on different teams in the National League. That's why, again, the National League will grow by about 4 teams next year, because, again, of that influx or that development drive on the ground there. And most of those kids will be going into community clubs, you know. So the school basketball is growing. It's coming along. We do have a little part to play in it. The ministry, mostly run by the ministry, as you well know.
Yeah.
But I'm happy that they brought us to the table. Last week we sat at the table with them to see what can be done, how we could integrate our resources to get the best for the sport.
That's really good to hear, because I think a lot of the time, like in my time and probably in your time as well, it's like, you know, it was your intrinsic motivation and your love for the sport that kind of drove you to kind of go towards that sport.
Yeah.
But like we said, you know, we have multi-talented guys who played all different sports and everything, and sometimes their attention got diverted. Well, for me, I could speak for me. So Orane asked about what my stats were at secondary school, but I could tell you how I started basketball. Like, I went into it because I wanted to get popular with the girls. You know, once you're playing basketball, the girls come around. Once you're playing on the VG complex, the girls there, St. Joseph's Convent, you know, girls there, and everyone around. And, you know, I don't want to just single out St. Joseph's Convent, because once I say that, they'll say, oh, what about the other schools? So Corinth, Comprehensive, all the girls from everywhere. You want to be seen, right? So that's how I kind of got into it. But it's good to see that some sort of structure will be put in place to have it be infiltrated, you know, in a formal way with the PE tutors and everything. Because I think, once you have it there and people could see it's formal, it's we're trying to embed it, you know, there'll be more discipline towards it, and probably kids will kind of enter it based on that. So I really do like, you know, that effort that you're putting in to work with the ministry to kind of get into the schools in that sort of way, because you can't just depend on the intrinsic motivation now, especially with all of the competition for attention that you know, that are distracting the kids nowadays. So Orane.
President, we've been talking about how the sport needs to grow in St. Lucia, kind of take the form of some doom and gloom. But since you've been president, what are some of the things that you've been proud of, that you've been able to achieve since your reign started, and what you hope to improve upon in your presidency?
Well, personally, I am a development specialist. I'm a sports development specialist, so that would always be my drive, what drives me to develop the sport next level. So like I alluded to quite a bit in our conversation so far. The development process has been coming along very nicely, very, very nicely, and I'm very happy to report that we have lots more kids interested. You get parents calling to see how they could get their kids enrolled in basketball, which club, and the only issue I would say that I have now is to trying to get a lot more of the affiliates of Basketball Saint Lucia to buy into that philosophy. Because, for example, you mentioned Maya. Maya is doing that great job again. You have to go back to that East Coast Academy, one of the clubs. Soufre is on the west coast of the island. They do their recruiting as well. So the rest of the clubs to the north and whatnot to buy into that philosophy of the grassroots program, because one of the goals of the strategic plan for the federation is to get every basketball club to have a farm. By this I mean the grassroots end of things, a female program, and so it will filter down to the senior team. So that is the goal, and we have at least 2 or 3 clubs like that, and hoping that all the rest can have that. So I'm very proud of the development for us so far since I came in. I must say, the team has been doing very well in that regard, and watering the ground and tilling the ground, making it conducive. More tournaments, more camps. The kids travel. They travel to play now, so they go to Martinique, they go to Dominica, Guadeloupe, to at a younger age now to play. We didn't have that when we were growing up. If you got a tour, you were very lucky. I was lucky to play on a couple national teams too. When a few years later, when I got older, but then there were not much of those opportunities before. Like I said, the last 5v5 participation was in 2018. Yeah, and we've been participating in the America 3x3 tournament for the past five years, 2020, they're about 2021. So, and then last year, 2025, we were able to send 3 national teams out, but all be 3x3. So we had the usual America, and then we sent a U23 team to the Bahamas, a U23 male and female team to the Bahamas to participate in a regional tournament. Jamaica was there as well. So I've been able, or my team has been able to really get us to participate in more regional tournaments, more regional engagements, and also develop the sport as we go along. And again, the challenges are the resources, but we do the best we can with what we have to, at least. And initiatives like this, getting the kids to travel or even having the opportunities to travel, encourages the athletes to come on board, to buy into the process. Yeah, so for me, the highlight is parents calling now to find out how they could get their child enrolled in basketball. Yeah, so that in itself is an exciting. It's exciting for me.
Yeah, so that's really good to hear. Now, what I trying to do is move the conversation along a little quicker now as we come to the end of it, basically. And we mentioned some of those names earlier on in the first segment, where you spoke about Terance Mann, we spoke about Chris Boucher, but I definitely want to go back to highlight this young lady, Megan Nestor from Canaries, who's was tearing it up this last season. This season, her outstanding performance, 34 points, 31 rebounds for the University of North Texas, becoming just only the 3rd player in NCAA history to record a 30-30 game. Can you tell us a little bit about the pipeline that we have out there? So we know about the guys in the NBA, but what other players like Megan are out there that we could kind of look for? I think there's a young man called Noah Boyd, who I think was playing for Baylor, I think at university. What other names are there? And I'll call out another one. Although he's still a bit younger, 10 years old, Amarian Henry, Arnold's son in Canada, who's doing great things. Putting out some really good video of him doing all his training and playing and all that. What other names could you kind of call out? It would really be good to shout out some of the people out there in the diaspora doing big things for clubs and college.
Yeah, well, like you said, Megan is a standout, and she did not. Coincidentally, she did not come from a basketball background. Instead, it was a pure netball, and then she got an opportunity through a Trinidad coach who saw her and said, like, yeah, I want her to she has the potential and got her enrolled in a D2 school, I think, in the IA. But now she's in D1 doing a thing. As a matter of fact, she just got the record for rebounds in a season for her conference. So she holds that record. We have quite a few youngsters down here. We are now working on giving them the spotlight. We haven't quite been able to get the highlight on them. We're hoping to, along with a couple of our partners, to again coming out of this National League, to give them the highlight that they deserve. You mentioned Noah. Noah is now at Western Kentucky, doing his thing as well. Yeah, he was at Baylor, then moved across to Western Kentucky. He's doing his thing as well, and he came from basketball through and through here, like right through, and he got his opportunity, and he took it, grabbed it in both hands. We have quite a few youngsters. The development level, there was a gap in the development level for a while because of a lot was happening or wasn't happening. But now there are quite a few youngsters at the back end coming through. We just had our team representing the Bahamas. Like I said, we have a few youngsters there's a gentleman from Soufre, Sydney Didier, is doing pretty well for himself too. Sydney was in Mexico. He was in Mexico with the America team, and he also traveled to the Bahamas that couple of weeks later too. So he's one to look out for in the coming years. Awesome. Yes. So we're looking, like I said, to network. We just had a few conversations with the Guadeloupe Federation, like I said, to get some players to play in the league as well. So we're working on that. So not much to report from that end, but the potential is here, right here. And we now, as a federation, looking to give them the spotlight and the pathways that they deserve to thrive.
Awesome. Yeah, and I think that you're right. Having those pathways is what will get us to that position, to have more names out there and everything. And it's great to hear, some of those names out there doing what they're doing already and more to come. And I think that leads us on really nice to the last set of questions that I have, where we speak about sponsorship and people just trying to help support. I know we've mentioned KFC for the local national tournaments and everything. Are there any other sponsors? I know, the Ministry of Youth and Sports, Kenson Kazemi as not president but minister of that area, helping out with increasing that subvention and everything else. Are there any other commercial places or any other individuals you probably want to shout out for their support throughout the years for Saint Lucia basketball or into your arena at least? Because like we say, this is the lifeblood of what we're trying to do. If we don't have the support, financial support, which is really important, we can't do very much. I think that I saw a news headline about was it a company or an individual who donated something like 1,000 basketballs to St. Lucia to kind of spread out to the schools. So really important to have people supporting in that sort of way. So I'll give you an opportunity to definitely spotlight any other people that you think important to shout out for that purpose.
Yeah, thanks, man. First and foremost, I would like to thank our consulate in Canada for getting a sponsor. I can't remember the exact name of the sponsor. It's a Saint Lucian working with some organization up in Canada who sponsored 1,200 basketballs, which we are now which is going to assist greatly in us getting our grassroots movement going. Yes, so thankful for that. It's the level of partnership goes up and down year by year, but the national lotteries, for example, national lottery authorities, is always a strong partner in that regard. They help us a lot in what we do, and a lot of little ones here and there, that they come, they go, but we're thankful for every opportunity that we get to partner with the private sector, because we know how difficult it is competing with so many different sports and even social activities too, carnival and those and whatnot. So we just develop a little partnership with Fix, Caribbean Metals, those entities. Every little counts, you know what I mean? So they assist us in that regard for our National League this year.
Mhm.
You know, and we're very thankful for that. But like I said, KFC has been our rock for the past couple of years, along with the National Lotteries Authority, and we are thankful to those two entities. The Olympic Committee also, St. Lucia Olympic Committee, where necessary, once we are participating in overseas tournaments
Mhm.
of under the Olympic umbrella, we get some sort of support from them as well. You know, they also believe strongly in what we do, and they always um, compliment us on the progress that we've made so far.
Mhm.
As an administration, as a newly formed administration,
Mhm.
and yeah, it's every little counts, like I said.
For
And
sure.
again, thankful to a great team of admins, execs on the St. Lucia Basketball Federation
Mhm.
for sticking around, and it's all voluntary, Alice.
Mhm.
Let me add that it's all voluntary, and
Yeah,
it takes some passion to just be involved.
that's
Yeah,
it.
it takes some love and passion to just be involved. You know, so
Mhm.
thankful to the team, the executive team of the St. Lucia Basketball Federation for even sticking around me, because I'm very ambitious in terms of the goals that I want to achieve for this sport, and I don't sleep. I dream and daydream and
Yeah.
basketball and the development of basketball. What next, and how can I improve on the
Mhm.
sport? You know, and I am thankful to the executive team to just stick around. You know,
Yeah.
to help the process.
No, it's good because when you were announced as president, coming off, of course, the succession from Leslie Collymore, who of course went on into a position with
Yes,
the
CBC.
three CVC and three basketball himself. When I heard you were appointed as president, I know you from playing basketball in the gardens and stuff. You wouldn't remember me, but I know you from that time, you know, playing basketball, SMC gardens and everything. And I was like, nah, I didn't know you personally, but I knew your passion for the game. So I thought, you know, it's in good hands. And, you know, definitely developing a team around you, you know, that exudes that same passion will be really important for the success of the federation. So I think, you know, you've developed really a really good team around you, and I hope, you know, and wish you guys all the best. And what I'm going to say, and definitely on behalf of Orane as well, you know, I know we're a small entity. We're just still trying to make our name in the media landscape and everything. But whatever I could do and we could do to try to help boost, you know, the coverage of St. Lucia basketball in whatever way that we can, the talent and everything, you know, I'll definitely do that. I had a buddy of mine a couple of days ago messaged me and said, you know, baseline to baseline would be really good in St. Lucia, you know, or I suppose anywhere in the Caribbean, you know, covering St. Lucia basketball, covering secondary school sports, and kind of shining the lights out there. There's another little story I want to mention, and I think that's something that we need to take into account for all sports in St. Lucia. I don't know if you remember Kong. Nigel Francis, who played basketball, you know, both in
Kong is
Kong, you know, Nigel was my year SMC, and we played basketball together and everything.
multi-talented football, basketball.
Multi-talented man, you know, captain of the football squad, basketball squad. He played cricket for a little bit and everything. Multi-talented guy. There was something that I want to mention, and I hope he doesn't mind me mentioning this as a cautionary tale. Extremely talented. He had an opportunity to get a scholarship to go to Minnesota, and there was an opportunity for him to put a scouting tape together to kind of present to the schools to show, you know, his talent, what he's able to do and everything. And that got messed up. Whoever had to do it didn't get it done, and he missed this opportunity to get a scholarship. And I think it's really important, like we say, to kind of spotlight the talent, but also be able to put presentable professional packages out there to really highlight them and show them in the best light for, you know, as possible, so schools and scouts could kind of see what's going on. And I'm sure Orane, you probably would say the same thing in terms of talent in Jamaica for track and everything. You want to be able to put your best foot forward in the media, especially now with social media and everything. And I think maybe, you know, it's probably the individuals taking more of that on their own to try to, you know, take command of what's being put out there and their brand and everything. But we as a country, we must do better at being able to support our students in that sort of way, especially if we notice they have the talent to be able to show them and spotlight them so everyone else could do that. So, Orane, you want to say something here?
No, just as assisting your point, I said just to put a package together so that we can
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
definitely. Yeah, it's a bit of a challenge,
Mm.
but we are trying to overcome it. For example, we try to live stream as much as possible our tournaments. So again, the kids, and they savvy, the technology savvy, so they get their own clippings a lot of the times and assist in putting those packages together. So we, in that regard, I hear you, and I am directly involved, as a matter of fact, because my son he has a few scholarship offers out there for both soccer and basketball, and one of the setbacks is getting those packages put together for the colleges, and up to this day we're trying to get some football footage to send to the school, but you're right. It is extremely important, and that is something that we encourage them to. Yeah, but you have your cell phone. Do a little recording while you're playing. Have your friends record, that kind of way. So at least you have something. It could be edited, but at least you have something.
Yeah.
So that is something that we're educating them about.
Definitely. We're in the age now where everyone has a cell phone. Everybody wants to be a personality on social media and everything, but use it for the right purpose to help boost yourself to kind of get where we need to get to. Because I think we have lots of talent, and I think like Nigel Francis's case, Kong as we call him. It was a missed opportunity. It wasn't basketball; it was football. He was going to get a football scholarship to Minnesota, and that was missed. And that was really disappointing to see what had happened there. And I definitely wouldn't want that to happen to any other person in Saint Lucia, in Jamaica, in the Caribbean, wherever. To miss out opportunities by not just having people who are a little more forward thinking and themselves as athletes thinking ahead about what they could be doing with their time. The last thing I'm going to ask you here, Carla, to kind of wrap up the interview is your thoughts on, not thoughts, but any upcoming events, games, promotions, tryouts, anything that we need to kind of put out there so people could look forward to for whether it be the rest of the year or anything coming up.
Yeah, so CBC, like I said, in this summer, in July, should be in Guyana. We're looking to participate in that. So we're going to have the league started yesterday. So we're going to most of the players will be coming from the National League, and also those who are eligible in the diaspora. We're looking forward to them joining us as well. Also, we have qualified for CAC. We're just waiting in terms of our ranking. CAC 3x3 U23 men.
Right.
So we're just awaiting the official word from FIBA Americas to get set on that. We are due to travel to the BVI in May to a U23 tournament, 3x3 again. So most of those are 3x3.
Right.
And America Cup in December. This time I think it'll be held in Dominican Republic. I think last year it was in Mexico. This year I think it's in DR. So those are the events to look forward to. We are working assiduously to get our female end of things going.
Yes.
This has been the main challenge for us as part of our strategic planning. Based on that strategic document, we have accomplished a lot in terms of strategic goals, but female basketball seems to be the one which is just a little awesome, a little bit. But we've just got into the executive a young lady, the second VP, who is passionate about that. So her role would be mainly to drive forward or to get female basketball going on the island and see where we could go with that, especially piggybacking off Megan and her achievements, and also Iman's mom, who was already pledged to assist. She also played college basketball. She's a coach as well. She also played at Georgetown. So she is pledged to assist us as much as possible in that regard. So yeah. But mainly with the main regional tournament, CBC, men's 5v5, and the rest are U23 tournaments. Well, we're planning on having a Winwood set. We're just awaiting word from St. Vincent. Dominica is hosting just before CBC. So Grenada is on board, Dominica is on board. We're just awaiting St. Vincent to give us the thumbs up so we could go in full planning mode for CBC. Winwood Island basketball.
Okay.
Trying to revive it after so many years.
Okay. That's good. That's good to hear. A lot of things on the pipeline, hopefully to come, things in motion and things yet to come. But like we said, lots of names, lots of opportunities, lots of people, I think who could help, help with your cause, and definitely count us as a partner for that. Definitely want to help try to push St. Lucia basketball as much as we can, and everything. So, Carla, I'd like to say thank you very much for your time. I know we had a little bit of a time difference issue earlier on, but thanks for staying on and taking the time out to discuss St. Lucia basketball with us. We're definitely going to keep an eye on that. And I think what you've discussed probably mimics a lot of what's happening in other countries in the region as well. Some of the same challenges, some of the same sort of stuff. So it's kind of really good to kind of put that out there so other countries could kind of hear what the challenges are similar. Let's get in touch. Let's put our heads together. Let's try to see if we could pool resources to kind of work on things together. And, of course, Jamaica, our representative from Jamaica, Orane here, is a testament to that, to seeing, what it was from 2013, a program which was dormant from 2013 to where it is right now. And you have NBA talent who want to come in and try to help them and everything. And hopefully that's the trajectory that we're on for St. Lucia. And, I'm just wishing you guys all the best. And hopefully I'll be on the island soon. So hopefully we could catch up for a drink and, talk about what we could do with St. Lucia basketball moving forward. Orane, any final words as we wrap up?
Yeah. President, just want to thank you for your time and the responses that you gave today. I mean, a lot of insights you shared on St. Lucia basketball, the growth, the development of the players, the female basketball, the men's basketball, 3x3, everything. I mean, just want to thank you for coming on, sharing with us on our platform about the growth of the sport. And we just want to say, keep up the good work. And we just want to see the development of the sport on the island. Thanks again.
It's a pleasure, man. Thank you so much for hosting me. Thank you so much.
That's it.
I appreciate you guys. Yeah.
So this is the end of episode 16, Baseline to Baseline with Alister and Orane. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, all the different social media platforms. We're everywhere. Look out for Carla's interview coming out really soon. And just more, the NBA season is coming up to the playoffs. We're going to start talking even more about that. And we're going to see what the predictions that we put out. I've said, Carla, the Detroit Pistons will make the finals, and I made that prediction in November. I want to see if that's going to continue to be the right thing. And we're going to see what happens as we move forward. So thank you very much, and we shall see you guys soon.
Appreciate you. Thank you, man. Cheers.
Yeah. From the hardwood floor to the spotlight glow, breaking down the stats every fan should know. Trace, place, legends in the making, every headline, no mistaking. Fast breaks, crossovers, highlight reels. What's real strategy, what's hype and feels? East to west, we call it straight from draft night buzz to finals fade. Baseline to baseline, we cover it all. Big plays, bold takes the rise and the fall. Baseline to baseline, where passion is prime. Your NBA breakdown every